Welcome to another episode of Pels and the Blender. It's your boy Davis coming to y'all on this Monday morning after the Pels played last night in LA. Got another one tomorrow against the Lakers. Pels had they 3-game win streak ended by the Clippers. You dig? Not gonna keep y'all too long on this afternoon. Appreciate everybody who tuned in, tap in, hit that like button, share the stream. Obviously, man, it's been a little crazy, but I'm gonna jump right into it. First, let's kind of address the game a little bit. I thought the game was fine. I didn't expect realistically, I didn't expect us to win. One, Z didn't play. And typically, when your best player is not available, you have a hard time winning. Especially when their best player is available and Kawhi been playing like a top 5 player, pretty much. So if you're gonna look at it just on face value, like best player available, our best player not available, that's one of the things. I think they got the coaching advantage. That's another thing. You are, you on the technique. Were they on the back to back? I think they were on the back to back. You know what I mean? So it was just a tough situation. Even if Trey's coming back as his first game back, typically these dudes come back and they like shout out to DeJounte because DeJounte came back and kind of like hit the ground running. Whoa, was good, Q. Appreciate you tapping in. It was good. They DeJounte came back, hit the ground running. You know what I mean? He looked pretty good. I won't lie. But typically, what happens when Pels come back, they look a little rusty. It take them some time, 2, 3, 4 games sometimes before they find their rhythm. So I wasn't expecting Trey to come back and just look like what Trey looked like before he left. It's probably gonna take him a couple games, especially with Z being out. But just as far as the game goes, I wasn't like overly surprised that like about the result of the game. If it, like, let me be clear about the result of the game. Not sure how we was gonna get to the result, but it's just a different. Again, man, the team while they putting some stuff together, it's still a bad team right now. They still got roster flaws. They still trying to figure stuff out. They still weren't completely healthy. So like to assume wins is kind of tough right now. Like that's just the fact of what it is. Like we do a good job of beating bad teams, right? Not just bad, like really bad teams. Like the tanking teams will probably beat. And ever so often we might get one or two against a competitive team, but like we haven't been consistently playing well against like good teams or competitive teams. That's a veteran team over there in with LA and stuff like that. So that was gonna be a tough one. That was gonna be a tough one regardless. Bright spots from last night. Shout out to you, absolutely, Jeremiah Fizz. Was a bright spot, and honestly, like let I know I've like been tough on like Queen to a degree, but I personally think like overall their rookie season has been good rookie seasons. Like Queen is terrible defensively. At the same time, we didn't draft Queen to be a defensive player. If you look at the situation that he came in with, like they don't consistently play him next to a big. Like it's not like the team is fit for the rookies to be their most successful, right? And they're rookies at the end of the day. They're still trying to figure it out and stuff like that. But you've seen bright spots from each player throughout the season. And even though they've had moments where they struggled and had moments where like Fears had moments where the turnovers were really bad, shot selection, stuff like that. I think that was a product of starting. Queen has had like defensively has been a problem throughout the season. Again, I think the legs are tired. Didn't really get an off season to train and get accustomed to like the physicality of the league. He's still not as athletic, but overall, like I think you've seen spots from like what you expected them to look like coming in, and you've seen them produce to a degree. So I think like overall your rookies have been solid, but last night, Fizz probably had his best game of the season so far, and it wasn't like overly surprising to me because I had been saying all season that I thought he should be going, like he should be on the bench, and that would be like the most beneficial for him, like being able to come in against second units, kind of see the game, see how the defense is playing. Now, again, you can't take the experience that he had from starting away. Like that obviously helped to a degree, but going to the bench now, still in your rookie season, it's allowing him to have more control of the game, understand the pacing a little better, understand his talent and abilities a little bit better. And that's typically what happens as like a season goes on. Like NBA seasons are like peaks and valleys, other than like great players who are probably like consistently great throughout the season. Even if you look at Sadiq Bey's, and this is a little different comparison, but if you look at Sadiq Bey when the season started, like he started okay. And then as the season's gone along, as he got more rhythm, as he's got more healthy, as they played more games, like you've seen him, trending upwards, as far as like the kind of player that he is. So like Jeremiah hit some shots last night. Getting real good, being able to like use his speed, downshifting, and being like having a better, he's developing a better feel for the game, and he's also allowing like his playmaking to come into play a little bit more. So like shout out to Jeremiah, man. Like I think going forward, I think next year that dude gonna take like a real leap. Like I think his year 2 is gonna be significant from his year 1. Like everything that they say about him is that he stays in the film room. He like if you listen to him talk, he sounds like a franchise player. Like just the mindset seems like it's there, and we'll see if the ability matches what the mindset is. But like he has the right people in his corner with Mike Miller and everything. And then like you can tell like throughout stretches of the season, right? Like he might struggle with something and then get better, struggle with something and get better, struggle and then get better. And that's the process of growing. Like he's still a young player. Like he constantly talking about working on his body as he gets stronger, right? As he gets more accustomed to the game. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna do like some workouts with some people and stuff like that that'll probably help show him some things of the game and some stuff that he'll probably be able to just go into the offseason and say, I want to be better at this. And I think Jeremiah feels like year 2 is going to be really good. But again, you still got a lot of season left. You got DeJounte back now. So like he also doesn't have like the full responsibility of playing the point guard. Like there's another player that can take some of that, take some of the load off of him for having to just, I got to manage the team. I got to do like all of that responsibility just makes it harder. Well, now he's just kind of like, all right, look, I just get to focus on what it is I need to do and play my game. So shout out to Jeremiah Fierce. Bro, listen, I've been on Twitter, X Twitter, whatever y'all want to call it lately, talking about matter of fact, I was about to talk about Herb real quick. But we could do the Jordan Poole thing, Poole being out of the rotation. Like absolutely seen it coming. I didn't think he should have been out of the rotation. I think other than the first game where they all got spanked against the Bucks and he hadn't been playing for, who knows how many games. I thought he had been playing relatively well. He's shooting the ball relatively well. Like even if he makes, even this is the part that kills me about Poole. Like especially last night, like with Z being out and Trey on his first game back and stuff like that, like bro, you still need as much offense as possible. Like you still need as much shooting as possible. And he been like one of your best shooters. Like as bad as he's played, he's still one of the better shooters on the team. Like this team don't have a bunch of people shooting the ball well, or a bunch of people that's just creating offensively, or even when you say I want to play defensive players, right? Like there are stretches in the games where you can see that Borrego was probably thinking, all right, I'm gonna go with like a more defensive lineup. So like example, if you like, okay, Bryce as opposed, like when they're getting ready to sub and you say Bryce as opposed to JP, right? You're probably like, well, Bryce is a little bigger. He's, defends and he's been shooting, and Bryce has been playing well. But at the same time, like Bryce don't have the offensive capability that Jordan Poole has. Like you seen Jordan Poole pretty much, what game was that Jordan Poole pretty much closed for you and put away? The game at home, man. I can't remember who it was we was playing, but like JP kind of helped put that game away and stuff like that. So it's kind of, he has stretches and moments in games that like not many players on this team is capable of having. And I think in a situation where you're struggling to stop people anyway, you might need somebody to come out there and give you a spark. So I don't understand like why he fell out of the rotation last night. But if he fell out of the rotation last night with Z not playing, imagine when Z come back. You already know he not getting no minutes. And especially if Jeremiah is going to play consistently. I'm not saying he's going to have 28 points a night, but Jeremiah has been playing pretty well. So, like, that's just not going to really be I think they devalue Poole enough to where you just not going to see Poole that much. But at the same time, like, I still think that he's an X factor that's capable of helping you win games. And I don't think is unless you just saying like we're leaning heavily into the rookies, which you probably should have, but you kind of like past that point, in my opinion. Then and I hate to say it this way because again, this goes back into my no Herb slander, because obviously Herb is the reason that we win. We win and lose games, unless like as long as Herb's available, you pretty much got a chance to win every game. Like that's the make or break of this team. If Herb's available or not, it almost don't matter how he plays. Just on the court, that's the end all be all about whether you win or lose. Or at least that's how it seems, right? Herb could do no wrong. So if Herb offensively looks how he looks, and then defensively, foul trouble and stuff like that, if JP can't get on the floor even in those situations, then like I don't really understand what's going on. So like I just don't get it. So man, again, just moving forward as far as JP, I just don't really see a consistent space for him on the team, especially moving forward after this, especially with DeJounte back and stuff. So like there might be some times where he played, but again, everything with this team is inconsistent and unknown. Like we don't have a side, like again, we still don't know what the starting roster would be if this team is completely healthy. And like it seems like we're getting closer to possibly being able to figure that out, but we don't know. Right, like when Z comes back, we don't know what's gonna happen with the rotation. Since the break, you 3-1 starting DeAndre Jordan, right? You 3-1 since starting DeAndre Jordan. But when Z come back, like, and you just had a bad game, right? You just had a bad game. Do that mean you go away from it, right? Like, do that mean DeAndre don't need to start or DeAndre don't need to play, or was it even his fault that you got your asses whipped last night, right? So it's kind of like one of those things where I'm just interested to see what's going to happen moving forward. And also I'm interested to see that if they do decide on a starting lineup, right? Let's say when Z come back, you go with DeJounte starting, Trey starting, Z starting. Herb, I don't care what nobody, Herb is going to start, man. Herb is starting, and I think they're gonna play a center because this team can't really play without a center. So I don't think Sadiq Bey is going to the bench. So I think Sadiq Bey is going to the bench. So I think you'll see DeAndre Jordan continue to start at least for a little while, right? At least for a little while. But how does it look? If they look okay, do they continue to play that style, continue to play that way, or does it take one bad game? Again, you 3-1 with DeAndre Jordan starting and Z wasn't there. Like, so when Z comes back, do you just put DeAndre Jordan on the bench and then you go with the small lineup? Because that's a completely different style of play that don't really fit what it is that you've been most successful doing. I think this team is most successful with like bigger lineups and too big, stuff like that. But again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward with this particular team. What would I like to see for the rest of the season? Man, I'll be honest, I just want to see everybody healthy. I'm not like, I would like for them to win, but I don't really, not that I don't care about the wins and stuff like that. Just I would like for them to end the season healthy, right? And I want to continue to see progress for Fears and Queen. That matters to me. I would like for the players that you said were kind of untouchables. Your untouchables are Z, Trey, Herb, obviously the two rookies. If that's the case, you need to figure out a way to get some rhythm with those players. Like, you need to figure out a plan moving forward. If Borrego is going to be the coach, a plan moving forward for like what kind of team, what kind of rotation works best for this particular team. So you could go into the offseason and say, okay, this is what we did well. How can we build on that moving forward? But for me, it's just things are so different from game to game that, like, I just don't think that you could get any kind of real continuity of what works and what's not working, in my opinion. I think it's pretty clear that we know this team need a center, right? So I would like to see them play with a center the rest of the way. So, you know what I mean? To kind of figure out the rest of that. But like, we don't know what the second unit is going to look like. Like, Bryce has obviously stepped up and got some minutes. But again, what's happening with a player like JP? Because in the future, you're going to need other players off the bench to score. Also, if Herb is going to be ineffective offensively, right? What does it look like with playing another offensive player? Like, let's say you do play Sadiq Bey and in that spot, and you bring Herb off the bench. Are you even willing to try bringing Herb off the bench to see what that does for your team? Like, maybe you solidify your second unit more. Like, because a second unit of like Fierce Queen, Herb, Missy, what? Carlo, maybe Bryce. Yeah, Bryce would be in that. Poole technically could be in that. Like, I think you could possibly have some advantages if you put that lineup out against other second units. But I just don't know. Like, I just don't know from game to game what it is you're gonna see. And that's kind of where I'm at. I just want to see some consistency the rest of the way. They have been looking better to a degree, but again, you beat who did they play? The other night? The Warriors. They was on a 4-game win streak. I'm sorry. They beat the Sixers, which JP helped you in that when they beat the Warriors, the Jazz twice. So the Sixers, the Warriors, and the Jazz twice. So they were on a 4-game win streak. I'm sorry. Whoa, what's good, Kurt? How you doing, sir? And then you just ended up losing to the Clippers. But even in those games, like I said, I just want to see consistency. Three of those teams are not all, the Sixers aren't awful, but at the time when you beat the Sixers, they were on a 3-game losing streak anyway. So, like, you know, you kind of caught them when they were struggling. The Jazz are tanking, and the Warriors didn't have nobody. So, like, you kind of got to take these wins with like a grain of salt before we get like so hyped up on what it is that we seeing. Don't get me wrong. Like, you played the Clippers, and the Clippers aren't even really, not that the Clippers are a bad team because they're the Clippers. They're a veteran team. You got Kawhi, yada, yada. Clippers games under 500. So, like, it's not like the Clippers is just some great team that you lost to, and then you didn't just lose, you lost. That's typically what happens when they play like right now. So that's why I don't want people to get kind of like, when they go on win streaks and stuff like that, like let's just keep some context as to what's going on. Like, a lot of their wins, they have some good wins, don't get me wrong, but a lot of their wins are against like really bad teams. So, like, I don't want to get fooled by what we're seeing. And then what would the perfect offseason look like for this team? Man, I don't know, to be honest, because I'm kind of torn with what it is that we need to do. I know we need a center. And if there's a way to get Khalil Ware in here, that would be ideal. That would be ideal to get like a player. Yeah, this was a blowout loss, but you missed the 4-game winning streak. No, the 4-game winning streak is solid. So you 4-1, you 4-1 in the last 5, which is awesome. But the problem is, if you look at the 4, again, you got to get wins however you can get them. But if you look at the teams they play, like the Jazz are obviously tanking. Like, you can't afford to lose games to the Jazz. Like the Warriors game, like the Warriors had Draymond and like a bunch of people. Like that game shouldn't have been close at all. And like, bro, you ended up winning that game by 4 points in DeJounte's return. But it was kind of like, bro, that was like you should be significantly better than what the Warriors had out there on the roster. So like, yeah, we got a 4-game win streak. And like, again, when they play teams like that, you got to win. But the Clippers, who aren't really a great team right now, they have a great player. Don't get me wrong. But the Clippers been losing games. You can't afford to go get blown out. Like, and again, I understand Z didn't play. And Trey was on the first game back. Like, it was a lot of circumstance in that game. But in that game, like, you seen some of the same flaws that the team always has. Like, they just don't play well against good, like okay to good teams. Like, we're just not a good team. So we have to move forward with that understanding that the team is not a good team, and they need a lot of work. Like, the roster needs a lot of work. Again, man, I'm not sure what's happening with the coaching staff and whatnot. So I'm just kind of like gonna just let it play out however it plays out. They got the rest of the season to kind of figure that out. And again, man, if you get 25 wins, 27 wins, like, is that enough? Like, nah, I don't know. Like, again, I'm out on it for right now, but like, just let the season play out the rest of the way. But like, for me, the perfect off season would look like getting a starting center of some kind. Especially if you are trying to compete and keeping players, then like, if you're trying to compete next season, like you keeping Z, keeping Trey, keeping Herb, all of that, then you got to get a starting 5. And I don't think Missy is a starting 5. Queen clearly can't play the 5. So like, you have to go get a starting center, whether that's a player like, and it don't even, at this point, like, we understand that it don't even have to be the ideal starting 5. Like, it don't have to be like a stretch 5 would be great. But DeAndre Jordan, who's old, like, gave you something. So if it's a Claxton, it might help. If it's a Jared Allen, it'll look like Jared Allen again, still, like, and it's just to throw out Jared Allen's name because like he's not like a stretch 5 or nothing like that. But like a Jared Allen would probably be a godsend for this particular team. So biggest thing, getting the starting 5. Even if you draft somebody that you think is going to be your starting 5 in the future, like a true 5, like, if they got like a young Durant or something like that, like not Jalen Duren, but like a player archetype like that. And just like, look, he's young, but he's going to be the 5 of the future. Okay. But like an actual 5, go get a guy that could play the position. To me, that's priority number 1. So you do that. Also, if you're going to compete, man, you got to figure out what you're doing with JP. Like, what I think turning Poole and Looney's money into something beneficial is a priority. It's almost 40 million on the bench that you don't want to play and that you don't play. So if Borrego is going to be the coach, and let's just assume right now that he is, then like, you have to turn Poole 30 million and Looney's 8 million into something usable, into something tangible. That's a lot of money. That's like 2 or 3 players right now. I know a lot of people talking about like, they wouldn't want, not saying they wouldn't want, but like they like frowned on Kuminga and stuff like that. But it's like, dog, if you threw a Kuminga on this team right now, he'd probably be one of your better or best players. So like, if you turn Jordan Poole into 2 or 3 players or into a player like a Kuminga or something like that, I'm not going to argue with that. Again, JP make $30-some million and you DNPing him. That's unacceptable. So you got to do that. It should have been 5. I don't think they would have beat them even with Z playing. Like, they do look different without him, but I was told as long as Herb Jones on the court that like this team wins. So like, Z being out don't matter. Like, Z is just a product of what's going on. Like, let's not put this on Z, because everything that we see is that as long as Herb is available, this team, the wins and losses for James Borrego are based on if Herb Jones is on the court or not. So I don't really want to hear about it being 5 in a row. Herb Jones was there. Y'all should have won that game. Like, that's kind of where it's at. Poole, DNP, and Trey are interchangeable to me. Yeah, but they're not really interchangeable because like the team need as much help as possible. You need as much firepower as possible. So like when Trey comes back, but you take Poole off the floor, like you kind of swap out the extra shooting boost that you would have got. Like JP been averaging almost 17, 17, 15 the last couple games. He had 23, 20. Like, bro, you can't have a player that's been that effective for you and just not saying that you can't bench him because obviously they did, but you did and you lost, especially with Z not being there. So I don't think it was beneficial to take him completely out of the rotation when you lost all of Zion's production and you know Trey was coming back off an injury anyway. These players don't typically come back and look exactly like themselves anyway. It normally takes them a game or two and stuff like that. So I don't know, but that's pretty much what about the Poole situation. The Poole is gonna find himself somewhere else next season. Hopefully he can find himself a good home somewhere that's gonna be ideal for him, and he could be confident, have his mental together. Because I really like JP, bro. I'm a fan. Like, so last game, JP he played 15 minutes, had 11 points, was 50% from the field, hit 3 threes. Okay, that was in the second game against the Jazz. The first game against the Jazz, what did he do in the first game against the Jazz? Hold on. In the first game against the Jazz, he did not play well. He played 10 minutes, had 3 points. Again, he only played 10 minutes. He was pretty much benched in that game. McGowan's had 31 minutes in that game. He barely played in that one. The Warriors, when he played the Warriors, how did he do against the Warriors? 23 minutes, had 12 points, 4 for 11, had 3 threes. Like, he's one of the only people off your bench that's hitting threes anyway. Like, for a team that shoots this bad, I just don't understand, like, not playing as many 3-point shooters as you can. That's just my opinion. And again, Jeremiah played phenomenal last night, but with her playing as bad as he was and Trey still struggling to come back and stuff like that, you don't think you could have found some minutes? And I like Bryce. Don't get me wrong. I like Bryce. But Bryce, 26 minutes only got up 5 shots. Like, for a guy to be on the floor for 26 minutes and only shoot 5 times is like, that's a tough situation, bro. So I don't know. I would have liked to see JP get some minutes. But again, man, who knows with this team. And to me, that's the biggest point for me, is like, I don't know what's going on with the team. Like we don't know what they're going to look like from game to game, whether they're healthy or they're not healthy. So I don't know. I'm not going to hold y'all up too much longer, man. Moving forward though, I like what I'm seeing from the rookies. I hope even with Queen coming off the bench, I think Queen off the bench honestly helps him a little bit, because he's probably been worn out from playing. He's probably been worn out from a longer season and stuff like that. He didn't really get the training camp, and he's not in the greatest of shape, you know what I mean? As opposed to Jeremiah, who's younger, is a smaller player and stuff. The NBA is a grind, bro. So hopefully moving forward, Queen on the bench, I think you'll start seeing the stretches where he could be more productive, give more of his energy. He just got to keep his intensity level up, like, while he's on the floor. And I don't know what that's about, but you can see at times where, like, he has a lot of plays where he's just being incredibly lazy or just not really giving maximum effort. And those are the things that they have to change, that they got to do something about. You can't have rookie minutes where your rookies aren't playing as hard as possible. Jeremiah Fields plays hard, don't get me wrong, but Queen as a rookie, you got to know, like, once you're on the court, bro, you got to, like, 100% on both ends of the floor at all times. That's just part of what being a rookie is. And if not, then like, no, you shouldn't get minutes. But I think him going back to the bench is honestly good for him. I don't expect rookies to be like overly impactful, but even I do think they have a situation where they do need to play and they need to get some minutes, but you do still need to earn it to a degree. Another conversation that's kind of been floating around on Twitter and stuff like that with DeAndre Jordan starting is like the expectations put on Queen this season. I personally, and this is just me, how I viewed the season. I did not view the season where saying Queen had to look a certain type of way for the pick to be worth it or not, right? One, because when he started the season off and you saw some of the skill set and whatnot, it was like, okay, you saw that he does have ability. That like you have to play a certain kind of way. And a lot of that, again, man, he's a rookie. So a lot of that you got to figure out. He does have his deficiencies. But you did see that you had a rookie that could play and looked like he could be a good player in the league. That's one thing. All right, cool. But the season itself, the wins and losses and stuff like that was not on Derek Queen. So like where the draft pick fell, in my opinion, is not based on Derek Queen. It's based on Zion not being good enough, Herb not being good enough, Trey not being good enough, Poole not being good enough. I think they put the team together under the assumption that, well, I don't even know if they had an assumption, but like the wins and losses are more on the veterans of this team. Like Z going into year 7, Trey, year 5, Herb, year 5, like Jose was here at the time. Like a lot of the season and the wins are on those players. Jordan Poole and $30 million. That's on those dudes, whether you get wins and losses and stuff like that. So even though whether Queen plays well or Queen struggles and stuff like that, the draft pick personally, I think should be tied more. Like I think it's more of a failure on your veterans as opposed to what Queen looks like. Like, because Queen looked like you gave up a lot to get Queen, but Queen looks like he could play regardless of his deficiencies. Like, yeah, he's not great defensively, but he does look like he can play, and it seems like something that he'll have to figure out. Don't get me wrong. But whoa, what's good, bro? Appreciate y'all, man. Tapping and hitting that like button on this on this Monday afternoon. I'm almost out of here, bro. Just want to give y'all a little quick episode. I know it's been a while since I did one of these. But Fizz pushing back on that rookie wall. Absolutely. Fizz going to the bench, bro, I think is kind of like helped him a lot as well. But like same thing with Fizz. Like I don't think Fizz going to the bench or Fizz starting or whatever, or the rookie wall, or like I don't think nothing that Fizz had done so far like should be the reason that the team is winning or losing games. Like you can't really tie that to the rookies when Zion has been available for a good bit of the season. Poole missed a lot of games, but Poole has been available. It's up to your coaches on how they choose to play people. Like that's kind of what it boils down to. Because again, if it was, hey, you gotta play the rookies, then if you gotta play the rookies, then it can't be attached to wins. But if you gotta play the rookies, then why are they on the bench now? I just think it's been a lot of mismanagement might be it. I think it's a lot of mismanagement of the roster and the rotations. And James hasn't been a head coach and a guy in a long time. So like obviously there's a learning curve and an adjustment period for him as well. But I just think a lot of what happened with this season, as far as like the draft picks and stuff like that and the wins and whatnot, like I don't think it should be tied to how the rookies are performing when your veterans have been available and you still been losing games, and not just losing but getting y'all asses beat. So they've done a good job recently of like not getting blown out as much, but hey, like you still haven't been winning. So moving forward though, like I think if you can continue to get on these kinds of runs, you're 4-2 in your last 6. Like since you came back from All-Star, you lost to the Bucks and you lost to the Clippers. So you're 4-2 in your last 6 games. That's how you have to do it moving forward, right? 4-game streak here, maybe a loss. 3 games here, then a loss. 5 games here, then a loss. Like that's how you kind of gotta navigate this the rest of the way. And if they could do that, then maybe you'll be able to not salvage somewhat of the season, but like since DeJounte came back, you'll be able to say, okay, since DeJounte came back, well, technically he wasn't in one of the wins, but you 2-1 in the games that DeJounte's played. But like, since he's been back around the team, you're 3-1 in those games. You're 4-2 to like since the All-Star break and stuff like that. So it's just it's gonna kind of be interesting to see how they finish the rest of the way. What other good teams are they gonna compete against? Do they compete better against good teams when they finally fully healthy? Like, what does it look like when Z come back? I know everybody waiting on to see what the fucking starting lineup gonna be moving forward. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what the starting lineup gonna be, but they like to I don't want to say they like to mess with the starting lineup, but it's like you think when somebody is out, you might be like, oh, well, Fears started most of these games. Maybe Fears is going to start, but then Bryce starts. And then you be like, all right, well, DeJounte is back. Maybe Missy's going to start, but then, DeAndre Jordan starts. So now, like, Z's out, and you're like, all right, well, let's see what they're going to do. Is DeAndre going back to the bench? Missy's back? No. So like who knows what the starting lineup is gonna be, because they'll play a game. Like let's say Z is back. Let's say Z is back against the Lakers, right? And the starting lineup is like Murray, Murray, Z, Trey, Herb, DeAndre Jordan, and they lose. Well then, but they play well, but they lose. The next game, you might see a completely different lineup. Like you might see DeAndre Jordan going to the bench and they might play Queen. And then depending on how that game goes, then the next game you might be like, well, maybe they're going to stick Queen and then play Sadiq Bey. But then after the next game, you'll be like, well, shit, maybe Herb still like that's the problem with what I'm seeing from like there's no, and I'm not saying you have to build some kind of continuity so people could get comfortable in their roles. Like that's just part of like what it is. Sadiq Bey has been starting a bunch of games like since midway through the season. So I think he's comfortable in the role, comfortable in the minutes, and you've seen his production start to progress, right? You've seen Fears starting to get comfortable in this role, and you see his play start to get a little bit better. Bryce, comfortable, play get better. Like that's part of basketball, man. That's part of life in general. Like once you start kind of getting into a routine, you start knowing where what I got to do today, what to expect from my day, how I'm going to feel, like how to make tweaks to my routine so I can perform better. Like those are the things that carry some weight. So I just think moving forward, like you have to get as much continuity as possible. And I understand like with injuries and stuff, that's one thing, but like you still have a lot of control over that situation. I think the draft is overrated. We're gonna see. Apparently this is one of the greatest drafts ever. So we'll see how it turned out after the players come out and they play. They do have some players in this draft that I like. I 1000% believe that this team is gonna get back into the first round. Like that's just kind of where I'm at. I think the team is gonna get back into the first round and see and get like one of these players. Recently I've been looking only at centers or like high potential wing players like late in the draft. Like again, I know Elijah Arenas ain't playing that great right now, but shit, if he was there into the first or the second round and we had to pick, I'm taking him. I'm betting on upside. I'm betting on talent. I'm betting on genes, and like we moving forward with something like that. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Only 6 or 7 teams that ever won the championship with lottery picks they drafted. Even LeBron left the Cavs are coming. Exactly, bro. Exactly. So it's kind of like it's a super tough situation. Like it's a super tough situation. So like I'm not saying that they have to get in the draft, because I think you got so many tradable pieces that you could if you go about it right and you really wanted to, you could probably make the team a contender. You could probably make the team a contender. But it's all about what it is they be willing to do. Should they run the team back with the same roster? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, it depends on what you mean by same roster. Like, if they are going to keep core players, right, you still have to make like massive changes to like a good bit of the roster, because a lot of it you're not playing. Like Jordan makes 30 million and you don't want to play him. Looney makes 8 million, you don't want to play him. Like you just like you play Bryce, don't get me wrong, but like Jordan Hawkins doesn't play like at all. So with Jordan gonna be making 7 million next year. You know what I mean? You traded Jose. I mean, essentially you traded Jose to make the spot for what's his name? Bryce. Essentially, those are the minutes that Bryce is playing right now. Bryce is doing okay. But like, I don't know what PV is gonna look like next year. You're gonna depend on PV moving forward next season. I don't know. Like, what is Herb on the decline? Like you have to ask the question again. The wins and losses all depend on what Herb Jones looks like. As long as Herb's available, you know they throwing out the record with Herb Jones and James Borrego. So obviously Herb is a must-have here. But if Herb's offensive game continues to decline, then like, what does he look like? Is the defense enough to make to make a difference in that? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at who that is. Where he's projected where in the first round, because that's gonna make a difference. So, but man, this team has to move, like get better moving forward. Again, I'm still like DeJounte's come back and playing well, but like does DeJounte still want to get moved? Right? And if DeJounte, like, do you have to move DeJounte to a degree? Like, if DeJounte finished the season looking well and his trade value was up, do you decide to move him, or do you finish the season in a way where it's like, all right, we're gonna bring DeJounte back and then kind of go in the next season and see what's going on? Projected 24 pick. Said, bro, they need a true center. So like, I'm gonna look dude up in a little bit, kind of see how tall size, because I haven't been following, but I'm gonna have to like really start looking at some of it, some of the first round centers as we start to like close the season and stuff like that. March Madness getting ready to come up, so they're gonna be talking about players and stuff like that, draft stock going up and down. It's gonna be interesting to see, but that's what I'm looking at. Like, you gotta get a center, like moving forward. So who knows what they decide to do? Maybe they make a play for somebody like Sabonis next season. I know I've been talking about that for a while. He basically didn't even play this year, so who knows what happens with him and his value. I think I know people talking about the Jazz re-signing Walker Kessler. I think you need to absolutely target a player like Walker Kessler. If you could bring him in, he on the back end of the first round right now. But listen, I'm telling you, I'm taking however they get back into the first round. I'm taking all potential like high end talent, in my opinion. That's why I think I had been mentioning Chris Sinak from Houston. Shout out to Mike again, and Ivory, gave us a little breakdown of kind of like what Chris's game is like. But like, I think you need players like that, man. Players with high ceilings, bro. Players with high ceilings that can be versatile for you in like on the next level. So like, especially if you only getting back into like the back end of the first round or something, like you need as much potential talent. You need athleticism. You need this roster needs a good little bit, because realistically, you only have like Fear's likely will be here. Queen likely will be here. You don't know about anybody else. Bryce looks like, a decent find for right now, but that don't mean Bryce can't be moved or Bryce can't be added into some kind of trade or something like that. I still think you kick the tires on Ja. If Ja's getting moved in the offseason, like I'm listen, and shout out to DeJounte Murray. One thing I like about DeJounte been shouting at people and holding these motherfuckers accountable since he came back. I'm all on board with with that type of stuff. You need that kind of leadership and you need that kind of guy around all of the time. But at the same time, I want the high end talent guy. So if like a player like Ja's available, I'm gonna get Ja. I'm sorry. Like that's just kind of what it is. The Pels play Tuesday against the Lakers. I said this before as far as like the wins, like I can never project this team. Like I don't know like when they're going to win a game. Like I can't ever come out and say if they're going to win, but definitely not against the Lakers. I have 0-1. I don't know if Z's going to play. I got zero reason to believe that like they already struggle with players like Luka. They don't really defend well. Well, everybody struggles with Luka, so not just Luka, but like I don't have no reason to believe that they'll beat the Lakers in LA too, like on the road. You know, hopefully these like they in LA, hopefully they discipline. They're gonna be out there on the road for a while. They got the Lakers, then they got the Kings, then they got the Suns. So like it would be nice. You just right now, again, you 4-1 in your last five. I don't think you're gonna beat the Lakers, but if you could get a win against the Kings, like you should be able to beat the Kings again. And maybe hopefully you look at least more competitive against the Suns. But like realistically, as far as that Laker game, there's no way that you could come out and say that they'll for sure win. Like there's just no reason to pick them moving forward. So like Kentucky Center, but you listed at 6'9". Man, you need I think you need like a true 7-footer because you need somebody to be big to like they need a true center. Like they need a true center. And if he's gonna be a stretch, cool, but you need somebody that's like could be big, patrol the paint, like defend the rim, you know what I mean, and rebound and do all of that. Like I think even though Eves has had some moments and stuff like that, I think I'm at the point where like I don't think Eves respectfully is like a starting five, or at least not right now. I just think he's too small, and I think he's too limited. I think he's too limited in what he does and the things that he does do well. He's not like dominant enough, if that makes sense. Like if he was like he defends the rim well, right? But he's not like a rim deterrent. You know what I mean? Like he's not like a paint patroller. Like he don't have people just like DeAndre sometimes have people like eat. And again, shout out to DeAndre for everything he's done. But like in the game you see people legit like not really wanting to come into the paint too much. Eve don't bring that. Like Eve doesn't have that. So like you need like somebody especially if you're gonna be playing Queen moving forward, Z with some of his deficiencies and stuff like that. Trey's not a great defender. You got to have somebody to kind of cover the the paint for those guys and help make us so where they can try and be more athletic and go out on the perimeter, maybe go for steals and stuff like that. But that's pretty much gonna do it, man. Shout out to everybody that tapped into the episode. We have 50 minutes in. Hit the like button, share the stream. Appreciate y'all. I'll probably catch y'all again maybe Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. They play Tuesday, and then they got a day off, and then they play again Thursday. So maybe Thursday we'll catch another episode. But I might be in I gotta hit the chat, see if we're gonna do the spaces or something like that. Or if we're gonna do the fan line episode. But until then, man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all afternoon. Everybody be safe, take care of yourselves. Hit the like, man. Pels in the blender. I'm A. Davis. Peace. I'm out.